Okay, I've gotten quite a few questions on, I believe it's question number 15 and then also on number 16. And I thought maybe the simplest way to answer them would be through the use of a video. So this is problem number 15. And problem 15 says the following problem traces a relationship between firm decisions, market supply, and market equilibrium in a perfectly competitive market. Complete the table below for a single firm in the short run. Use the data in the following pop-up table. So you got to pop up this little table here. Pulls up information like this. If you want to print it, that can come in handy. If you're okay not printing it, then just leave it, I guess. And so what we're looking at here, and actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pause this for a second, and I'm going to open this in a paint drawing so it's a little easier to see. So hang on for a second. Okay, so I open it in a paint so that I can draw and kind of manipulate on it. So this is the data table. Like I said, you can print this if you want. We don't really need to. We're going to use basically what we're going to use here is trying to find the item that I want here. The price. Okay, so notice the price here was $11, and I'm thinking if I highlight it, dang it, that ain't gonna work. I was hoping I could just have a highlighter, but let me switch and I'll go to this here. So price is $0 here, okay? And basically what we're getting at then is when the price is $0, that's a pretty simple one, okay? When it's 0, that means the marginal revenue is 0. And remember, the rule that we use is that marginal revenue equals marginal cost, right? Well, if the marginal revenue is $0, then we never actually equal marginal cost, and that's pretty straightforward. When you can't sell your product for anything, you're not going to produce anything. So the quantity supplied would be 0, and the profit, if you think about it, if you're not producing anything, you don't have any revenue, but you still got fixed costs here of $80, so you'd be operating at a loss. So we would be operating at a loss, okay? And I think in the drop down it's actually negative. It's like positive, no profit, and negative, or something to that effect. But that's how I would answer that, okay? Then it says, okay, what if the price is $13? So now marginal revenue becomes 13. And so we're going to look and try to find if there's ever a place where the marginal revenue is greater than the marginal cost. And that occurs right here, okay? And I can't move these circles for some reason. I thought I would be able to, but so the marginal revenue is just greater than marginal cost there at 12, and that is a quantity of 4. So a lot of times people will think, okay, we should produce 4 units there. That's not necessarily true, though, because remember, we had to take into account average variable cost as well as average total cost, right? And the average variable cost was the shutdown point. And so we said if the price is below the average variable cost, so we would produce at 4 units right here. But notice that average variable cost at 4 units is $49.25. The price isn't even enough to cover the variable cost. So not only would we be losing money on our variable costs, we'd also be losing our fixed costs. The other way to do that is actually open the calculator and just do the math. So according to marginal revenue equals marginal cost, we would produce at this level because marginal revenue of 13 is greater than marginal cost of 12. Okay, so we'd produce 4 units. So 4 units, and we could sell it for $13, is a revenue of $52. But the total cost is $277. So $52 in revenue minus $277, we're going to lose $225 if we go ahead and operate and produce 4 units. Right? If we shut down, we'd only lose $80. So if I ask you what we're best to do, I would hope you would say, you know what, we're best to produce nothing. And again, we're just going to lose our fixed costs, and so we're going to operate at a loss. Then it says, okay, what about when the price goes to, let's see here, let me try to get rid of some stuff now. I don't know if I can actually, so maybe we're just going to leave it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so I can't go in and erase any of these circles, but now let's say the price goes to $27. So again, we find where the marginal revenue is just greater than marginal cost. That'd be right here at 24. Figure out how many units you'd produce. It would be 5 units now. But then again, and check, does the cost or the price of $27, is it higher than the average variable cost? It isn't. Average variable cost is at $44.20. So again, we end up producing nothing, and we lose our fixed costs, and so we operate at a loss. Okay. Now that I've kind of illustrated that, I'm going to get rid of this paint. We'll go back to right here. So quantity supplied when price is 0. Profit is negative. Quantity supplied when price was 13. Remember, we would have produced here at 4 units, but the price of $13 is below the average variable cost, so again we're at 0, and the profit is negative. When the price is $27, we'd produce down here at 5 units because the 27 is greater than the marginal cost of 24, so we produce the output of 5. But again, the average variable cost is $44.20, which is higher than the price of $27. And again, if you don't trust me on any of this, do the damn math. All right, you're going to produce 5 units. You're going to sell it for $27. It's going to be total revenue of $135. You're going to have total costs of $301. So subtract minus $301. You're going to lose $166. Again, you'd be better off to shut down and lose fixed costs of $80. So again, we'd have quantity supplied of 0, and the profit would be negative. When the price is $38, we'd produce here at 6 units of output because 38 is just greater than the marginal cost of 36. But again, the average variable cost is $42.83. So again, we'd produce nothing, and the profit would be negative. Now the price is $52. Once we get to 52, we're going to produce at 7 units of output, because that's where the marginal cost is just higher than, the marginal revenue is just higher than marginal cost. Here, notice, average variable cost is only $43.57. That means we're receiving a high enough price to cover the average variable cost of $43.57. So we would actually produce, and we would produce the 7 units. Now the question is, are we profitable? Well, one thing we could do is, again, we could pull open the calculator and say, okay, we're going to sell 7 units. We're going to sell them for $52 a piece. That's $364 in revenue. But we're going to have total cost, notice, of $385. So minus $385. We're still at a negative profit there. Okay. We're losing $21. The simpler and easier way to check that would be, okay, at $52, that's marginal revenue is just greater than marginal cost of 48. Then we're going to produce 7 units of output, and at 7 units, the average total cost is $55. That means of those 7 units we're producing, each one costs us $55 to produce, and we can only sell it for $52. So we know we're going to lose money. I'm going to leave you off there and let you finish the rest. Problem number 16 is basically a similar problem, except it's a market, and I think there are 100 firms in the market. So you'd have to figure out, and all 400 firms have the exact same cost schedule. So you'd have to figure out if the product, if they would produce anything at all, and then if they would, figure out how much each individual firm would produce, and then multiply it by 100 to get the market supply. So hopefully that helps.